My dad was lecturing to me today. Most of it was about how I needed to try harder at school and get better grades. Of course, I already try hard at school. It's not like I'm slacking. However, I'm not as naturally smart, and to be honest, it makes me angry that he doesn't think I'm working hard. My dad kept comparing me to my older brother, Pete, a student at Yale. I hate it when he does this because it makes me feel super dumb. And even if I spend all my waking time studying, I can't be like Peter. By the way, I've told my dad before that I hate being compared to Peter and asked him to please stop, and he said that he would. This was a few months ago. So I started comparing my dad to my stepdad, who I know my dad doesn't like, saying things like how my stepdad makes a lot more money than him, takes us on fancy vacations, makes my mom a lot happier, is way more fun, and is a way better dad. Of course, the last part was an exaggeration. They're both great dads, and my stepdad's more of a buddy than a dad. But I wanted to get under his skin, and I knew this would. It made him really upset. He told me to stop, but I kept pushing and said some more things to him to make him uncomfortable. Finally, I stopped when he started crying. I feel bad for causing him distress, but I also feel like he's getting a taste of his own medicine and getting a sense of what it feels like when he does that to me. Am I the idiot in this situation? Wow, you got him there, kid. Not the idiot. Bullies never learn unless you find their point of vulnerability. I'd say you hit the bullseye and then hit your bullseye arrow with at least 2 more arrows. Tell him you'll quit giving him crap when he stops giving you crap. I'm not sure it was bullying. Often this, why can't you be more like, is well-intentioned and meant to inspire and uplift. OP, you are the idiot. You did go too far. You could have restated how you felt and attached a comparison between him and your stepdad as a comparison for you and Peter. Then ask him how he felt at that moment and work off of that. Going on until you broke him down like that was a bit much, especially since you hadn't tried this approach before. But it doesn't. It makes you feel inadequate, judged, and pressured. I remember at school they brought a gifted kid over from another school and paraded him in front of us. Why can't you be as good as... He seemed like a decent guy, and I felt sorry for him. Talk about setting a kid up to be hated. OP didn't start it, but he may have ended it. OP gave Dad a taste of his own medicine. Maybe he took it a bit far, but that's better than not taking it far enough. I hope Dad learned his lesson and saw how pointless the comparison game is. Update. For comparing my dad to my stepdad and making him cry, thank you for your advice and perspective on the situation. I texted my dad this morning, apologizing for my mean words. I told him I said those things because he kept comparing me to Peter. He said it was okay, but he's still acting distant with me and wouldn't even look me in the eyes when I went downstairs and tried to make casual conversation. So then I confronted him about being upset. He believes I meant what I said about wishing my stepdad was my biological dad and wishing my mom had met him first. I apologized again in person and told him that's not true, that I only said it out of spite, but he's not convinced. He did end up apologizing to me for comparing me with Peter. He said he only pushed me to get better grades because he knows I'm capable of it and wants me to have as many opportunities as possible for my future. He said he'd never compare me again with Peter and that he was sorry he had hurt me that way. I feel really regretful for being so mean to him yesterday and saying untrue things that now he can't unhear or unbelieve. It's a lesson learned on my part to not get caught up in the heat of the moment and say things you can't take back. Wow, your dad is now being ridiculous, playing the victim role and switching it at you. I hope he apologized sincerely and stopped making you feel guilty. I'm a parent and I know my children can do better, but I know that a parent should never compare their children because that causes hurt and resentment. If your dad feels that you can do better, he should have sat you down and expressed that without comparing you to your brother. I wonder if you were crying afterward, would your father have shown the same compassion? My wife and I have been married for 3 years. Since we met, I've gone with her to a holiday party hosted by her and her best friend. It's a fairly large party that grows every year. This year, I did not attend. My wife is still pretty upset about why I didn't. 2 days before the party, I was notified my ex-fiance had passed. I didn't know the details, but it hit me very hard. To be honest, towards the end of things, we didn't have the best relationship, and I'll spare those details. She had issues and had relapsed, which heavily influenced the ending of our relationship. I went through a lot of grief leaving her in that state. Maybe it hit me because I felt like I didn't do enough to help her. In any case, I was pretty down and didn't feel like socializing, so I told my wife I was going to skip the party. When I was first notified, I told my wife, to which she said, "I'm sorry, are you okay?" I thought she would understand my reasoning, but she didn't. She was quite offended. I was bothered enough about my ex that I wouldn't feel up to her party. After the party, she came home and said, "I can't believe you're this upset about some junkie." I was honestly taken aback by her cold, callous attitude. My ex was a daughter, a mother, and a sister. She was somebody that was messed up in life. I spent the next several days putting on a fake happy face and tried not thinking about my ex. Over the weekend, I had more calls about the details involving her death, which further upset me. My wife, noticing something was off with me, asked if I still loved her, my ex, and is that why I'm devastated. She said it's weird how I'm mourning the loss of my ex when I haven't had anything to do with her in years. I explained to my wife that she, my ex, was my first love, and I did love her as a person. Last night I told my wife I would be attending my ex's funeral, and I'd like her to come if she wanted. She became angered by that, saying she didn't want to go near a junkie's funeral because the place would be full of people like her. This might partially be true, but I think I should be allowed to pay my last respects regardless. She told me if I ended up going, we're going to have problems. I don't know what she meant by that, but she threw in my face how this ruined our holiday, and again stated she couldn't believe I missed her party because of my ex. She told me I needed to seek professional help because it's not normal for a married man to be this upset about his ex dying. I began thinking maybe she was right. I don't know why I'm mourning her loss. I began asking myself if I still had feelings for my ex, but in my head I knew things were done. I wouldn't have married my wife if I felt things weren't finished with a previous relationship. I've practically stopped myself from grieving because I guess it shouldn't have mattered to me. I asked my wife if she'd be upset if her ex died, and she said that's different because she shares a child with him. Not the idiot. Sorry, but your wife is cold and callous. This is a very mean-spirited response to the death of someone you once loved and cared about. The fact that she was your fiancé, who you had a love for, makes your wife even more of an idiot. I don't care that she was stuck in addiction. She was still a human who deserves to be mourned by those who loved her and remembered her, despite her flaws. Way to be jealous of a dead person. Sheesh. You're a good dude. A good, cool, compassionate dude. Please don't change. For closure, I would suggest that you seek out grief counseling. Your wife needs to know that this is a long process. However, it seems like she might be desirous. Your wife feels like you settled for her when you really wanted to be with your ex, but you were rational enough to know things wouldn't work out. Seeing your grief and regret now is making her question your relationship. I get she's insensitive, throwing junkie around, but she's lashing out and hurt. You are the idiot for not seeing this. Are you worried you didn't do enough to save your ex? What would have been enough? Staying with her? You're endangering your marriage for someone you've long decided to break up with and who's tragically no longer here. You should probably research survivor's guilt and grief. My 42 male, ex-wife 36, recently got married to her boyfriend, Grant 50. She and my son, young teen Eric, now live in Grant's house with his 3 kids, 18 male, teen female, younger teen female. When I picked him up at their house today, I realized my son does not call Grant by his name or by a variation of father and dad, but as sir, like saying, "Goodbye, sir. Thanks for everything, sir. Happy New Year, sir." I found it very odd. My son has never been so respectful and disciplined. I talked with Eric about it, and he said it's a rule in Grant's house and that he doesn't have a problem with it. My ex-wife says Grant does not let his own kids call him by his first name because he finds that to be disrespectful, so he's clearly not going to allow that with Eric. They didn't want to pressure Eric into calling Grant dad or something like that, so generally, respectfully calling him sir was the solution. I said that this must stop. I think I should have been asked my opinion before any of this started, and I don't think my son should be forced to call Grant in a specific way. That's not the way a kid should be raised. He should be fully free to choose whatever makes him happy. My ex-wife does not take my feelings about this seriously and has not been open to changing this rule. I've been insisting on this all day, but she doesn't care. And now she's getting angry because she says I'm annoying. Am I the idiot? I think I'll disrupt my son's relationship with his mother, stepfather, and step-siblings because I'm butthurt. My feelings are the only ones that matter in the entire world, after all. You are the idiot. Your only role in any of this is as an advocate for your son. What you want is so completely irrelevant, it's not even defined in the dictionary. Only what he wants. And he says he's fine with it. Not the idiot. It's perfectly reasonable for you to be concerned by this. It sounds like Grant wants to impose himself as a super authority figure, both over his own kids and now yours. As long as Eric has no problem with it, you shouldn't keep bringing it up. But you definitely want to keep an eye on things and ensure Eric can get in touch with you anytime. Sir isn't a red flag, but it could be followed by them. What are you talking about? Sir is a normal way to refer to an adult in a position of responsibility. You are the idiot, OP. Everyone seems fine with it, but you. You said your son is now being respectful and disciplined. Oh, what a tragedy. Out of curiosity, what would you like your son to call his stepdad? I'm sure it's something super respectful, right? That's not something that's harmful to your son, and you don't have control over parenting decisions made by your ex or by his stepdad. You do sound like you are extremely annoying about this. Something important to acknowledge here is that regardless of anyone's interest in agreeing to this arrangement, Grant and his mom are creating an even greater power imbalance in their home than exists in the dynamics of children and adults and parent-child. Now there are 3 kids living in the house who call their father dad, and they refer to ex-wife by her name. So they all address both of you familiarly and intimately, which fosters the relationship between everyone. Then there's one child living there who must refer to Grant as sir at all times. There's a double standard in their home. Also, your son is the youngest of them all. With what they've been taught by their dad, they may see themselves as higher in status in the home than he is. I'm sorry your son is in this situation right now. He sounds like a cool and kind kid. My son is getting married to a wonderful woman. We've loved her since the first day we met her. She was very nice and polite and very good with my granddaughter. My granddaughter is a teen and she never got along with my son's partners, so it's nice to see the amazing relationship between her and her future stepmom. We were all talking, and the wedding came up. We asked them what they were planning to do, and they told us they couldn't afford their dream wedding and honeymoon, so they were trying to decide which one to choose. I offered that they could do both, and I'll pay half the price. My other son asked me why I'm paying for their wedding when I didn't pay for his. I told him that I didn't like his wife, and he knew it. She's been very cold towards us since the first day we met, and she hardly ever speaks to us. I can't be expected to pay for a wedding I don't approve of. He said I'm showing favoritism. I told him I wasn't. I didn't pay for his brother's first wedding either. So in order not to show favoritism, I was willing to pay for his next wedding. He blew up at me and called me an idiot and left. Son, in order to not show favoritism, I'm willing to pay for your next wedding. Oh wow, that hurt me and I'm not your son. LOL. You are the idiot for saying that, but the petty in me respects that shade. LOL. Yeah, I just spit my coffee across the table. Touché. Well played. OP is totally the idiot, but I can appreciate a good snide remark. Savage. Gee, I wonder why OP doesn't get along with most of their children's partners. Oh wow, OP. You sound like King Lear, handing out cash to the kids that kiss your butt the most. This isn't about your son's wives. It's about your sons. If you're prepared to treat them this differently over this, I bet money it's not the first time you've shown favoritism. No one is entitled to a gift, and demanding one does not look good for your other son. That said, you're showing extremely blatant favoritism towards one son and daughter-in-law over the others, which will destroy your relationship with those you deem lesser. That makes you the idiot here. You don't get to pretend to be surprised when you treat someone like that, and they have a bad reaction. She's doing daughter-in-law a favor by being so open about her nastiness. It'll be much easier for daughter-in-law to stand up for herself and for the son to agree to limit or refuse time at his mom's after this, I imagine. It's much harder when the mother-in-law hides her true colors when her child is watching. I truly hope your least favorite son will cut you out of his life. My ex and I alternate every Thanksgiving. This year it was my holiday. My boyfriend and I had planned to have Thanksgiving with his family and friends this year, and they're coming to our house. I would like my sons, teen and preteen, to spend the holidays with them and their little sister. However, my ex's sister and brother have kids, their cousins, that they're close to. So the kids are bugging me to let them go to their house after spending some time with me so they can go to their Thanksgiving because my boyfriend's family is boring and weird, which I find incredibly disrespectful. My boyfriend has been in their lives for 2 years now, and we just moved in with him this year. My teen in particular has been refusing to bond with my boyfriend, told me he looks like Jeffrey Dahmer and his family is weird and a bunch of rednecks. My younger one told me that my boyfriend's friends are also weird and asked him weird questions like, why does he have a tablet and a Nintendo Switch? The kid is fine with my boyfriend though, and my boyfriend is involved with the kids and watches them and takes them to school for me when I work. I'm most upset with my teen as he's being unfair to my boyfriend, who has been trying hard to talk to him. Meanwhile, they love the heck out of my ex's girlfriend, so it's not an issue of not liking significant others of their parents. Thanksgiving is a time for family in my mind, and they spent last year's Thanksgiving with their dad's family and cousins. I told them they couldn't go, and they were to spend the entire day with my boyfriend and me. Now my older son is throwing a fit and saying he'll just go to his room and not come out. My younger son is fine. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. Firstly, you're setting a precedent. Someday you may have a very good reason to want the kids when it isn't your turn. Forget it. Secondly, you're prioritizing your boyfriend's family versus their actual cousins. And if nobody else tells you, I will. Trying to force your teen to have a relationship with your boyfriend will not work. The more you push, the more they'll withdraw from it. The most you can demand is civility and respect, to the degree that it's also given to them. Punishing him or calling him disrespectful for telling you how he feels about the boyfriend's family is also a no-no. He feels how he feels, so now you've told him not to be honest with you. So you will be greatly surprised when the whole thing blows up in your face and you have no clue. Meanwhile, they love the heck out of my ex's girlfriend. I'm betting OP's ex didn't try to force the kids to love his girlfriend. OP should stop the competition and listen carefully to how uncomfortable her children are with her boyfriend. She can't force the kids to love him and his family, but she can drive them away from her. And why would you move the boyfriend in so soon? You dating, moving a guy in, and having a new baby with that guy are all you things. None of those things make your boyfriend, not even your husband, your children's parent. And it surely doesn't make his family your kid's family. Your kids are trying to tell you this, and you aren't listening because of what you want, to pretend you're all in some big nuclear family. Making kids live with someone they're not related to, not bonded to, and actively do not like is a great way to ensure they leave as soon as possible and cut you off.